What is the most important knowledge one can possess?
I am the cool teacher. History is written by the oppressors.
Thursday. I've been mixing Gizmo's DNA with the DNA of stray animals.
This one's for the dog, this one for you. Oh, I just realized I've got those the wrong way round.
Am I going to be okay?
You'll be fine. I just need another urine sample.
FX is what we do in the shadows. All new Thursday at 10 on FX. Stream on Hulu.
Don't sing if you want to live long. They have no use for your song. You're dead, you're dead, you're dead, you're dead and out of this world.
You're listening to the League Podcast, the Vampire Council, What We Do in the Shadows Podcast, Season 5, Episode 7, Hybrid Creature. I'm Matt Dursin.
Clay Inferno here. 009. You guys just missed the most hilarious thing that's ever happened in our 500 plus episodes of podcasting, which is that we're in a new software situation here. There was a sound effects little drop window, and I played some sound effects, and Dursin completely lost his mind, and I have it all on video. I don't know what
happened.
It was so great.
The whole thing, and I just started laughing, and that was the end of me for a while. I could not stop. So thank you. I guess I needed a good laugh. I don't know. But it came out anyway.
Pure joy. I enjoyed every second of that. And you obviously did too. Obviously.
Well, I enjoyed it, but let me tell you this. I would rather be reading Bukowski. Right? As someone who used to work at a college unnamed, I really totally got the idea that
North Dakota, NDU, North Dakota University.
Right. I knew a lot of professors, and I knew exactly the type of young, hip, rad, isn't that the word he kept using?
Yeah, he was he just starts out and says there's nothing more draining than a professor that thinks he's cool or whatever.
Yeah, a teacher who thinks they're really cool, and he's sitting there with his feet up on the desk and his hipster hat.
Yeah, those douchey hats. I used to have them. No shade, no lemonade.
No shame, no lemonade.
No shade, no lemonade.
No shade, no lemonade. Does that mean if I throw shade on you for wearing a hat, I would not get to drink any lemonade?
No, I would immediately throw a hot cup of steaming lemonade into your eye.
Oh my God. But it says no lemonade. Doesn't matter. Anyway, that is one of the things that he tells his students.
I forgot that was maybe a touch point for you of the cool professors. I'd love to hear more about this when we get to North Dakota University part of the show.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that part in a minute. First, but this one does start as I feel like many of the episodes have started this season with Laszlo and Guillermo, and more of the experiments on why he's not a full vampire.
More Grandpa Munster Laszlo,
right? Where he is. This is the hybrid creatures are similar to we had the frog in last week's episode.
Right. Yeah, that was like the precursor.
Yeah, now we have many animals, and they all have that same Guillermo hair.
Oh my God. Funny. They're so fucking weird looking. And there was an article already about the production design or the person that made all of them. There's like an interview with them out there. We can link it on the website. It's funny. But how they had to incorporate the hair.
I mean, I can't even imagine. But I mean, it's great. It's I guess it's kind of like old school. They're almost like Muppets or something. I mean, they're all people. And then they have voices.
Right.
And also not the really little. Yeah.
But also, do you remember in the movie when what's Jemaine Clement's vampire name? He always turns himself into animals, but he can never quite get the face right. That's kind of what we're dealing with the rat and with Binky, the fish in the koi ponds.
It's like they're weird looking because they have kind of like a human, like Guillermo kind of round face.
They took that kind of a subtle callback to the movie, but it takes that little nugget of something that's already hilarious and very weird and a very meme. It's like a meme culture related to what we do in the shadows, and it explodes it out there, like makes it so much more than just a little thing.
Yeah, definitely. I love it's a little callback, but it's a big deal, a big thing, as you said. One of the great things, too, is the voice actors that they got to do these, like these creatures. One of them, I just want to point this out really quick, because one of them is a woman named Bridget Hoffman. And you probably wouldn't know that name, but she's done a lot of voiceover work.
Guillermo.
That's Lamb Guillermo, yes. But also, if you were to go to IMDb and click on the additional crew part, you can see she was, if you remember the pictures from the posters of Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2.
Yep.
It's Bruce Campbell and a woman, Evil Dead, and then like Evil Dead 2 is like this woman kind of climbing out of the ground and a hand is grabbing her throat. That's Bridget Hoffman. That's Lamb Guillermo.
Oh, wow.
So like, yeah, she knew Sam Raimi and them, and yeah, look at this, still getting work. So I thought that was a fun little piece of trivia.
Can I also point out a nerdy, very specific credits thing? These guys that wrote the show listed at the beginning, Jeremy Levesque and Rajat Suresh, they're TV writers, and they do some collaborations with Tim Heidecker, Tim from Tim and Eric. They are so incredibly talented and like into such weird, long, rambling comedy. Like they do, it's really hard to describe what they do, but they how like the Joe Rogan podcast, just Joe Rogan going, yeah, that's so interesting. And then it's a couple of guys like in front of like a red carpet behind them, and they're like, yeah, well, I think that vax this and that, and he's like, yeah, wow. They did like a mock parody of that goes for like an hour and a half long. That's somehow hilarious, and it's just the two of them talking and convincing Tim Heidecker, who's like playing a Joe Rogan type character, how that smoking crab salts, which is a completely made up thing that they made up, smoking crab salts like the healthiest thing that everybody's doing now. And they just ramble on and talk and like all the weirdest jokes in here coming definitely from them. And I'm just so happy because these guys, they are super talented, and it's their first like writing gig on a real show. And Kyle Newacek from Workaholics directed this episode. So I'll just say kudos to those guys. I'm a big fan of them already, and I never thought that I would see them like on this thing. And this is like, this is one of the best episodes ever. This is great.
I think so. I agree. This episode was fantastic. It's right up there. All the storylines. I wouldn't even say like A, B, C storylines. I mean, they're all kind of A storylines, right? I mean, let's face it. I was just going to say, since we're talking about names and people and IMDb Carrie Kenny is Helen Johnson in this episode.
One of the best shows ever. I love Reno 911.
Yeah. Reno 911.
Do you guys watch that?
The state. No, Rachel really likes it. I've never really partaken, but
very funny show. But yeah, of course,
great
the state.
To see her though, yeah, like so. It was great. She's great in this episode, and
somehow I guess going back to kind of like what we're saying about the kind of the storyline and everything, that there's not really one, like it's all the vampires get to shine. I think that they could probably maybe there'll be like a guide specific, maybe she'll get her own episode sort of, but she just kind of shows up a little bit. But all the main vampire stories, they really do a good job of building up to whatever's going to be the inevitable conclusion at the end of the season with Guillermo's thing. And, Matt Berry's callback to, he's like, every other episode, he goes, "You're fucked." He does it again in this one. And,
with no, I have verifiable scientific proof that you're fucked. Like, it's always fucked. Like, indisputable.
And not just curse and, Nandor and Colin are kind of having a little side buddy thing that's usually Colin and Laszlo. But, team those guys up and let them have fun time together.
Yeah, that was a great little thing. They don't hang out much, and here they were, and they're, kind of buddying up, like you said, it's great. It's always fun to see that. It's great that they still change things up and whatever. And when you've been on for as long as they've been on now, this is the 5th season, of course, you can play with the characters like that. Sometimes it takes shows a little while to get there, but when the audience knows the character that well and can understand what they're doing, that's, oh, okay, yeah. So now it's Colin Robinson and Nandor having a little thing. So I like that. So
yeah, me too, very much.
As we get started, we see more of Guillermo kind of trying to be a vampire, and he turns into a bat and hits his head on the lamp.
That is true. He full on turns into a bat, though. Yeah. That surprised me. Did it surprise you? I was like, wow, I didn't think he was that powerful.
Yeah, but
even though it's not really working out.
Yeah, and he can't, trying to climb the wall at one point. He kind of just falls, and he makes the best noises. Whatever, it's great to see because of the way he goes ah! And he falls and stuff. Laszlo he introduces him to, well, not right off the bat, but he does say, he does tell him that we're doing experiments, and him and the dog, and oh fuck, I've switched those up. The dog is drinking out of this bowl, and he gives Guillermo this glass. He's like, oh, that was for the dog, and this was for you. He's like, oh, am I gonna be all right? He's like, yeah, but I need another urine sample. I like the way he says urine, and then he goes and I presumably throws up because he just drank urine. So that's
his own urine.
Yeah, right.
Which at least it's that, I guess.
I guess. I don't know if that makes it any better in my book, but I guess it's better than dog urine, right?
Or someone else's.
Yeah. Urine. There's another great Laszlo pronunciation in this part where he says troubadour. Do you remember?
Yeah, he was talking about he's not yet a man, not yet a vampire, like one of your troubadours. And I had to,
paraphrase.
Of course, I'm the music guy, so I had to look it up. It's either this band Falling in Reverse, where he says something like that, or it's this young Olivia Rodrigo. So it's one of those two. I think it's probably the Falling in Reverse one. Okay. They're like a heavy metal band kind of thing.
Oh,
I had to look it up. I did a little research. I had to know.
No, I was going to ask you if you knew, because I feel like it's something I thought it was somebody famous, like really famous. But
yeah, I thought it was going to be like something easy, like Neil Young or something. Like, you don't want to be caught out there on the harvest moon.
But it's funnier that it's a heavy metal band that he calls a troubadour.
Yeah. Well, Laszlo's a music guy. They have their band.
Right. Yeah. And Matt Berry, of course, maybe he knows somebody that.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, that's where they get we get the credits, and then after the the song, and we get to the Staten Island Adult Education Center or something like that. It's called, and Nadja is teaching anti-Paxo Americans, I guess is the proper way.
Yeah, she's teaching. Yeah, right. Which is funny. You know what's funny is Stacy is now teaching at the Cambridge, North Dakota Adult Education burlesque. She teaches burlesque down there, and I picture her classroom situation much like that. Like she goes in there like dressed like Nadja would dress, all in black and everything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, she is, but she's teaching them about American ways, which she knows nothing
assimilate. About. Yeah.
Yeah. One of them is if you're walking in the street and it's like how to respond to, I'm walking here and I spilled my coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
all these little weird things were what those writers were sprinkling in there, like the map of the U.S. She's like, this is what happens in the U.S. Major occupations.
Right. It's like Hollywood beef. Texas is just beef. And that's the entire Midwest.
Yeah.
And middle region. And then Staten Island is the rest of it. And that's just newspapers.
It's so
three
funny.
Industries. There's 3 industries. And I love their Thanksgiving thing where they're all wearing football helmets. And as she says, they're paying homage to the
Yeah,
turkey.
yeah. The annual sacrifice of the bird, and then she's like, "You need to blow kisses, but keep them low."
Yeah.
and then it's like, pay tribute to the onion.
Yeah. But I love that they're all wearing football helmets.
It's
She
like
also-
a frozen turkey, right? It's like
it's just like a sad
it's like
little frozen-
ice all over it.
But then she doesn't call it the national anthem, but I forget which. She has a funny name for it, and I don't remember it now. But it's beef and fries or something, or burgers,
It's like
and,
burgers
fries.
and fries and Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Yeah, it's classic.
But
though.
they
It's
don't
great.
know.
Like,
They're dumb anti-Paxons. Just kidding. Nothing against anti-Paxons.
no, but they don't
We love
speak
everyone.
English or whatever. And so I want to say the reason. Oh, whenever she says something that she thinks is important, she says, "Write it down." That's just her answer for everything. But the reason she's doing this is because the guide in that brief cameo that you mentioned told her that there was like an old proverb or whatever from this old witch that said, if you burn down, must recreate, or something, whatever, something to that
It was
effect.
something like the people or those that you burned are going to come back for revenge or something. And then she tells her little story about how she burned down the only schoolhouse. And then she said after she did that, no one learned anything anymore.
Right. No one ever. I know. At first, she was outcast for being too loud. And then
That was a really good sequence of the artwork that they generate or make paintings of or something. It was just really funny.
We never really talk about that, like when they insert those.
Yeah, I want
pictures,
to know more. I would like. There's got to be interviews with those people somewhere.
Yeah, probably. They were always great. We should. We should mention. And that goes
Maybe
back
we
to
could
the
ask.
movie.
Imagine we should reach out to them and say, we want to talk to somebody about the show. We want to talk to the art department.
Yeah, who draws those?
That would be a fun interview.
Yeah, that was another thing they did in the movie as well. They would show like,
Oh yeah, a ton.
old timey like ancient. So anyway, so they found out that she burned down her schoolhouse. So now she figures if I start teaching again, that's like making up for burning down the schoolhouse. So that's why she's doing this. And she invited all her anti-Paxons, but she was afraid the first class that no one would come. So she invited Colin and Nandor, and like now she's like, no, I can't get rid of those two tits. I love it. She calls them tits. Yeah, they're sitting in the back, and she says something, and they're like, ooh, 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 ooh. It's so funny.
Miss Sakate.
Meanwhile, while all this is going on, we obviously switch back to Laszlo and Guillermo. And when he shows them all of these creatures that he's made, that one's from you and a pig, or whatever, and it's like we said, they basically all look like him, but it's like pig version.
There's like a possum, a lamb, who's the Evil Dead character, right?
Yeah.
And there's a dog who he doesn't. Whoever it is that does the dog, it's not exactly, but I was like, is that Nick Offerman? He sounds like a little bit like Nick Offerman, the dog. But it's somebody else. But and that dog is actually the highlight. That was really funny. Everything he said.
The dog is great. He does sound like Nick Offerman, but
you can tell that it's not exactly him, but he does sound like him.
Right. Maybe he's just doing like the impression, But
that's actually
William
funny too, because
Calvert?
I misgendered that person because it's a woman, Renee Guittard.
Oh yeah,
his dog Guillermo, which is even better. That makes it even better.
That's the person in the suit. William Calvert is dog Guillermo.
Look at that! Look at that extra one there.
You're looking at
I wouldn't think. I didn't think. You don't think to look for two of the same dog Guillermos on there. Wow.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
go.
these aren't CGI or those are people. You know what I mean? There are people in there.
Yeah.
And so the person in the row is the dog Guillermo costume is like Rihanna Guittard. So
and William Calvert
all the more
here.
power. Yeah. William Calvert is the voice. And someone named Karina Rothery is the dog Guillermo, in the suit. And then there's also a Liz Porter who is the pig Guillermo. So those are all people in there. amazing.
This
And then
is
they
so
just
great.
assign different voices. So yeah, but yeah, like, but before they start talking to him, like they're just kind of like faffing around, I guess. And Laszlo says
Faffing about.
He wants Guillermo to kill them because it's too shameful that he created these things. And he also says like they're just as annoying as you, or what? They're from
You can tell by their annoying movements.
And, yeah. One of them is like going after his leg. He's like, "Get the fuck off!" So he's Laszlo's not pleased, and so he says, "There's one thing you can do for me: get rid of them." And he hands him a gun, and so Guillermo does not. It doesn't sit with him.
Yeah, they cut the commercial after he hands him a gun. He's like, "You need to kill them."
Yeah,
and he tells him to kill the lamb first. He's like,
he's like, "Kill that one." Yeah, because it was. I guess it was a result of, like he said, one of your annoying sweaters or one of your god awful sweaters got into the mix. That's why it's a lamb. Yeah,
but they all have Guillermo hair. That is ultimately
that's
the best
part, right? Yeah, they all have that big head of hair and that kind of round face. I guess. So anyway, we go back to Nadja and everything, and she says, I'm beginning to wonder if I'm very good at this, because she does this which looks like basically water cooler talk, right? Because one of the people is actually like impersonating a water cooler, like they're just kind of holding their hands out like they're holding a ball.
Yeah, she's like, how to make small talk at the water cooler, and she makes a girl say, well, the first, like the person, not the water cooler's in the middle, like, how many people did you sleep with this weekend? And she makes the girl like read off the cue card, 7.
Yeah.
And the guy who's playing the water cooler goes 1. He's like, water cooler does not talk.
Yeah. Water cooler does not talk. Yeah.
Write that down.
So yeah, she's yeah. Like that's something the water cooler does not talk. Well, I guess, it's true. It doesn't. But yeah, water cooler talk does not mean that the water cooler actually talks. Anyway, so she goes out in the hallway and she's talking to the camera, and I guess she is overheard by this woman who, I love, they don't introduce her full name first. She's like, she tells her about the hexes and everything. She's like, oh, what is your name? I forget what she calls her. She's like, crusty, wizened old crone or something like that.
I think you did it exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what she said. Crispy old crone.
Yeah, which is a funny way to describe a person. Yeah, so Helen says she can help her, but she needs like Eye of Newt and all these things that would go into witch's
yeah. At Wolfsbane, we listened to our Wolfman episode. Need some Wolfsbane.
Yeah. But yeah, she does introduce herself as Helen the Magic Woman, because she doesn't. I don't know why she didn't say witch or whatever, but like the Magic Woman. So anyway, yeah, she's like, and then a chocolate glaze from the Dunkin' on Forest Avenue, and she's like, oh, what is that? It's a pastry house with the Americans. They sell what the Americans call donuts.
Yeah, and she's like, I would normally send you to get this flower up kind of like in Batman Begins, like the flower on the side of the mountain,
right?
But it's pretty much just tastes like a donut. So you just get me a donut.
Yeah, it tastes the same. Yeah, so yeah, and Nadja is so excited because she thinks she can get rid of the hexes this way. This magic woman will help her, get rid of it with all this stuff. So yeah, she runs off. I mean, we don't really, see her for a little while, but we skip back, to her class. And yeah, we get she runs through. I forgot. Nadja actually runs through on her way out the door and says, Nandor, Colin, what do you teach? And she just leaves.
And they both stand up and start talking at the same time, which is hilarious.
It's perfect. And yeah, like Colin Robinson says, as we said earlier, like it's the best, like a great draining is to be the cool teacher, or rad, as he even writes on the board. William Shakespeare, one rad dude. He keeps using the word rad.
And as he's standing up, and Nandor's like, just basically like, okay, everybody. I mean, he's like, I can't say I'm surprised that I'm being asked to teach the class. He like immediately starts training.
Yeah, I know. He's like, I was, I once taught a class. My dad, or something. My dad and his, I forget, it was manliness or something like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He once wrote a poem about his dad's masculinity.
An ode to my dad's masculinity. Yeah. Meanwhile, Nandor wants to teach history. That's the only thing he's really into, is history, and it's basically like war and killing.
He's just talking about his history. He's like,
right.
He's like, I thought there would be more killing. He says that later.
Right.
It's that when he's criticizing Colin's teaching, he's like, I thought there would be more history. There's no pillaging in any of his stories.
Yeah, they actually do go back later, and they're outside, and Colin Robinson's playing his guitar, and I love it because he says, I'm going to play my rendition of REM's Night Swimming, which is a song I remember very well from.
It's the slowest song. If somebody pulled, you're at a party and somebody picked up a guitar and started playing that, you'd be like, you're going to play that song? Of all the songs you're going to play that one?
I mean, it is very
It's
slow.
not a bad song. It's a great song.
No.
But it's like, it's a buzzkill song.
Right, which is the perfect choice for him, yeah. And they're all cold, and Nando comes out and says, what are you doing out here? He's like, teaching on the quad. Like, he's trying to be all cool and everything. And he's like, well, if you want to warm up, we can warm up with some hacky sack.
He's like, have you ever seen the movie Garden State? I really want to.
There's a song there by the Shins. I really want to.
That is definitely like North Dakota University professor say some shit like that.
That was such a. I mean, I remember when that song was everywhere for like a month, and then that was it. Never heard from again. The Shins disappeared. But I'm sure
feel
they're
like.
Still making music.
Oh yeah, no, they do stuff, but I feel like even there was like Colin Robinson was like rapping about Hamlet. I feel like that was like a callback to, remember in the Cosby Show when Theo and his friend did like Shakespeare rap? Do you remember that at all?
I do not remember that. That's
they were like Shakespeare's boring, and then Bill Cosby, R.I.P. was like, well, you should make it exciting, and then Theo and his friend, he had a friend. It was like,
what was his name?
Like Rat Dog or something.
Yeah, it was. What was the? Oh my god, I gotta look this up now.
Look up Shakespeare Cosby Show.
Theo's friends in the Cosby Show. Cockroach.
I feel like Cockroach. So him and Cockroach did like a Midsummer Night's Dream like rap, like 80s. Like really lame sitcom rap, but everybody, it was like at the time we always watched the Cosby Show. At the time, that was like everybody that was a meme. But everyone was talking about how they rapped about Shakespeare last night on the Cosby Show. You know what I mean?
That probably is what it was too, because he does Hamlet. He's like, Hamlet was a prince, and he's doing like poetry slam style.
Yeah, that's exactly how their rap sounds. And I was like, and that's also credit to these writers, because I could pick for them like doing like taking this little weird thing and then just fucking doing something weird with it.
I mean, that is a deep cut, but I mean, I don't remember it, but I do obviously remember the Cosby. It definitely seems like something they would do, Yeah,
yeah.
I love it. I skipped over that part. I'm sorry. Yeah. Meanwhile, like Nandor is just mad because he can't teach what he wants, and Colin Robinson is just doing this.
And then when do they go to the field trip?
Well, that's what I was getting to. So yeah,
that happens next.
Yeah, they were outside and they were cold, and so Colin Robinson says, I know we can warm ourselves up, a little hacky sack. And I love Nandor grabs the hacky sack and throws it. And Colin Robinson's like, oh, that wasn't very cool. And then he says, we are going to go to the History Museum. So that's the field trip.
Yeah, that's right. They go to like that. That's like, there's like a ton of those museums like in New York. And, well, around here, too, like, I think there's even one down the street from me here in Brighton. It's, like, a little, like, local museum of, like, this is what happened, when people first started to live here.
Right. It is. It is probably one here, too. It's probably Armenian, for that matter. But, they go in that field. But meanwhile, I think we should skip. I don't know exactly the order of these scenes, but yeah, like Guillermo doesn't want to kill because they start talking to him. And he's astonished to hear them talking. And then
they start calling him daddy and stuff.
Yeah, one of them says, "Daddy, I made a poopy," or something, and it's eating through the ground or eating through the floor. It's
Guillermo's like, "What did you eat?"
Yeah, what? And he's like, "No, nobody's daddy," but he agrees that he doesn't want to kill them now that they can speak. Like he feels even, like they're actual beings. And it's like our story by our elders of the great. I think one of them he did call him the great Guillermo, but the all powerful Guillermo. But one of them said like Daddy Guillermo or whatever, didn't know how to pronounce his name. So that was really good. But yeah, it's like
he's like nobody's daddy. So then he's just like stop talking because they're all talking at once. So they're all saying daddy this, daddy that.
Yeah, and he's like, but he agrees to help them. He says, "Oh, this dog who is my wife or whatever, you may lay with her."
He says it's his daughter.
Oh, it's his daughter. I'm sorry, you're right.
And he goes, I'm all set.
Yeah, there's one of them missing. One of their number is in the pond because I guess it's a fish, Guillermo and a fish. So he has to go out and find that. And he's, don't go anywhere. Don't tell Laszlo. Don't say anything. And I'm surprised they actually did keep. I saw as soon as he said that, I thought, well, they're obviously going to like go roaming around Staten Island or something like that. But they did.
Oh, right. Yeah, he's in the koi pond. Binky.
Yeah, Binky. Meanwhile, so Nadja comes back with all that stuff for Helen, and Helen goes right to the Dunkin' Donuts bag. It's like, well, okay, I got your, eye of nude or whatever, and she's like, oh, you're going right for the Dunkin' Donut, and she's eating it, and it's not a chocolate though. Oh no, she doesn't eat it yet, but she does eat it later. But she's like, oh, they didn't have the chocolate glaze, so I got a vanilla with rainbow sprinkles. And she's like, what am I supposed to do with this? Which is such a funny way to react. She's like, well, just put it in, and she's like, put it in my magic bowl thing. And she's like, a cauldron? Yeah, that, we can call it
That's the
that.
word.
Yeah. But yeah, that one's not good. So she's like, you have to go back and then she asked for like 3, like a whole dozen donuts. So it's like, all right, she's writing it all down. She's got it in her phone. That's what I like. I like Helen has it in her smartphone, what she wants. And it's very specific, 3 of these, 3 of glazed, and, whatever. I haven't ordered a donut in a long time, but yeah. And I love that it's Dunkin', of course, because Dunkin' is huge around here.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
There's probably
I'm sure
some money involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they've used Best Buy and other things, so I'm glad Duncan got in there with the big boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she has to go back out and get more donuts and they have to be the right ones. So, and like way more. So that's her. And she's like, okay, break this fucking hex. That's what she keeps saying.
Yeah, she's like willing to do anything for this,
Yeah. Yeah, meanwhile, Guillermo is out trying to get Binky out of the pond, and Laszlo comes out and he says, what are you doing are you wanking? He's like, no.
He's like, what do you, that's his wank shit.
Yeah, he's like, I would be fine if you were. I do it often. In fact, a half an hour ago, it's like, oh yeah, you don't want to hear that. That's just funny because it becomes a joke later, obviously. But yeah, like he does find Binky in there, and Laszlo is none the wiser.
And Binky, the carp Guillermo, does talk too. I always think that like, well, the frogs don't talk, but in the logic of the show, the frogs were like an early version of Laszlo's experiment. So, maybe he didn't quite get there with the talking, but the little fucking possum thing when Guillermo falls down when the dog starts talking, the possum thing, like it goes up to Guillermo, is like fucking his head.
I know.
But then later the possum goes like, Daddy, I think I made one of the frogs pregnant.
Oh, I didn't even hear that.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So weird.
And eventually, like, they all get in the line and they're standing there, and Laszlo's like, all right, I don't want to be here to see this. I don't want to get shit all over me. But he gives them the gun and he wants them just to shoot them all. So Laszlo walks away and he shoots up in the air. And then he's going to take them to, like, animal control or something. He's like, he has no idea, but he doesn't want to shoot them. So,
yeah, he lets them live, and they're all like, thank you, Guillermo.
So
he's like, no, nothing's going to die on my watch. And then the gag.
Oh, and he had shot a bird, right?
He shoots like 3. He had shot 3 birds, which is probably like vampire superpower luck, is what I was thinking. You know what I mean? Like, he was shooting them, and then the dead birds come flying down, and dog Guillermo, like, goes and bites it. And Guillermo's like, drop it. He's like, oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry about that. It's so weird. So funny.
Yeah.
I thought the chicken lady episode. Remember the chicken lady when they were on the boat? And I thought that was weird, but this is a whole other level.
I guess it is.
There's a lot of hybrid creatures on this show in this universe. Yeah,
that's right. So meanwhile, they're in the museum now. They use, like, hypnotism to get in at night, and nobody would be the wiser. And we find out that I can't even pronounce the country that Nandor is from.
Al Canador. It's almost like
Canador.
It's almost like you're saying Canada. Al Canada.
Yeah.
But I think it's like
Canador.
I think it's supposed to mean sort of like Iran or Iraq. But it's fiction. It's a fictional place.
Al
Canador.
Al Canador. So it's like it totally is just one of Nandor's outfits, like, or it looks exactly like it when they walk to this thing. He's like, whoa, wait a minute. And then it's like some of his underwear is there. And he's like, where did they get my fucking stuff?
And it says like so translation on the sign, Arabic script or the ancient Arabic script. It says property of Nandor in quotes in English on the sign.
Yeah, it's a Nandor. I love how mad he gets, though, because there was also a description on there of his that he was known to even have sex in the sky. And it's kind of
sky fucking.
It takes a turn. Yeah,
sky
right?
fucking.
He does say sky fucking.
Yeah, it's I'm glad they covered some of the cool stuff I did.
But then they say, "Oh, it's like the first erotic fiction." He's like, "Fiction," but like, people believe that it's fiction. And they kind of, it doesn't sit well with them. And they also kind of be like, so people think he made it up, and he can't have, leading some to believe that he never had sex. And,
yeah.
Like, he's cracked up, and he's like, Nandor's so mad. And I don't think any of the anti-Poxins know what the fuck is going on, so they don't care. But Nandor is mad.
I need to pick this apart a little bit. So do you remember when Nadja doll was like, I haven't ever been, I need to get railed because Nadja hadn't had sex when she died. She had plenty of sex when she was a vampire. Yeah. So technically, Nandor and Nadja both are virgins that became vampires. You know what I mean? But obviously Laszlo is not, because every story about him is fucking everybody.
Right.
And who knows about Colin Robinson, because he like gets hatched like an egg or something, like Jonathan Winters on Mork and Mindy. Who knows where he comes from or whatever.
Yeah, but we don't know what went on there.
Yeah, but so technically they both were sexless virgins, died like that when they became vampires.
So if Nandor had like a doll like her,
a Nandor doll,
yeah. He's embarrassed by the reading of that thing, and so that he like kind of storms out. And that's, the end of, well, not the end of that, but the end of that scene. The next part, so we see Nadja in the Dunkin' Donuts, which is great, and it's late at night, of course, so there's nobody in there except this poor like young girl working at the counter, and she says, "Dunkin' Donuts wench," or whatever, something. She calls her a wench, and she needs munchkins. Yeah.
Powdered munchkins.
Because she
powdered munchkins.
Yeah, she went back to Helen. Helen said this isn't the right. It was a different Dunkin' Donuts. So you need to go to the one on Forest and South. She's like, you can tell, but she was still eating it with a stick. And she's like, she said that was an ancient stick that she's had
wand.
For years. Yeah, a wand. Yeah, she's like, but I think she just went out and picked it up and off the ground.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, so she had to go back again, but now she's in the Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a sign on the thing that says "Do not serve Helen Johnson," and it's Helen. And now
it's like a security cam photo. She's like, "How do you know this woman?" She's like, "I guess from like her harassing me and my friends."
Yeah, like all the constant abuse that she's put us through. Helen Johnson. I thought her name was Helen the Magic Woman. And the poor employee's just like, I don't know what's going on here. Nadja storms out, goes back to Helen, and is like, what the fuck? And she's got the sign. And she's like, well, I didn't tell you my full name. Helen the Magic Johnson.
Helen the Magic Johnson. Oh, my God.
I'm glad, like, Nadja finally figures it out after all that it was all bullshit. And, she just doesn't, need... This isn't a real witch or a magic woman or anything.
Yeah, but then, Guillermo warned early in the season that they've been very loosey-goosey about being out in the world and stuff like that. So, like, there's a lot of, like, hypnotism. So she hypnotizes Helen and the poor girl working at the Dunkin' Donuts. The Dunkin' Donuts girl is, like, feeding her munchkins, like, in those Roman paintings where, like, people are feeding them grapes.
Right. Yeah, so that's basically it. Yeah, like, Helen was just an annoying customer because she loved the Dunkin' Donuts food, I guess. Dunkin' Donuts specifically. Yeah, she said, so it's almost, in a way, it is Helen kind of doing a good deed because she was letting this woman fulfill this fantasy. For some reason, she can only go to that one, which is also hilarious because even the joke, because there was the one on Forest and South, and she said, you got this from the one on Forest and whatever, the others. Because there are Dunkin' Donuts on like every corner around here. So even that is like kind of a fun little in-joke.
There's definitely, in North Dakota here, Dunkin' Donuts across the street from other Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
Many
absolutely.
times.
Right. Not even, so it is, it's hilarious that, like, that was a fun little joke.
Yeah, because they were both the addresses were on Forest and something. It was like...
Yeah.
So it's like the one, like, probably only a block away.
I know, but she knew... She could tell that it wasn't the right one, not the one that she's banned from, which makes it all the more like ridiculous that she needs it from the one she can't get into. But yeah, then Nadja, like you said, hypnotizes I don't know if she hypnotized both of them or just the Dunkin' Donuts girl or whatever. Yeah, and she's feeding her munchkins like they're fruit in an old painting, like you said. Yeah, so I think that's a good deed, right? Like in a way, she's doing a good deed for Helen, who is this sad old woman who just happened to be obsessed with Dunkin' Donuts. Helen gets her wish. So anyway,
that's one way to look at it, I guess, or that Helen is a fucking weird stalker that they don't want at the Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
Yeah, now if they'll just have to put the sign back up, I guess. But she had this one time where she could go in there and eat.
Yeah, so in the overarching part of the story with Nadja, she hasn't exactly reach her goal of doing this one big thing that's going to cure her of the sex, even after this.
Right, but it's still a nice, just the idea is there.
Maybe she's getting there. She's getting there.
I think she's getting there. It doesn't happen.
This was like kind of a fake out. We're like, oh, maybe this will be the thing, but it doesn't turn out.
No, I think they're going to wait till the end. Got a couple more episodes to get.
Yeah, they're going to wait till the end for sure with that and for Guillermo.
Right. Yeah, meanwhile, there's a nice little... the Colin Robinson Nandor story has a nice little bow on it here as well, because apparently Colin Robinson went back in and rewrote the description of Nandor to have a tremendous sexual energy. And I love, there's a little kid there reading the thing. Parent or whoever, guardian, is just sitting there on their phone.
Well, what's funny, too, is he takes Nandor's idealized version of himself, which is him in the signed, like, Team USA basketball jersey.
That's right.
And puts that on the mannequin instead. And then he puts two girl mannequins with, like, bra and panties on, and one of them has their hand shoved into his pants on the mannequin. And then, like, he says some cool guy professor thing, like, history's just a construct, man. It's whatever we want it to be. But he's like, also like, I brought you this this keychain your mommy gave you. So he's kind of like making fun of him, but did a sweet thing at the same time.
Yeah,
because it's the amulet.
Like Nandor, so happy about it, and then he's. I think he says like you're a good friend or whatever, right? And he's like, all right, getting awkward, and he just leaves.
Yeah, he says, yeah, awkward scene, or I forget what he says, but it's so
something
funny.
Weird, yeah. But he's happy, you know. Nandor's happy now. He doesn't have to live with the shame of people thinking he didn't have sex.
And Colin did do a nice thing.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have to.
He doesn't. You're right. That's why this is a great storyline. These two guys they haven't interacted that much through 5.5 seasons.
They haven't had, I mean, it's not like they haven't had their little moments together and good quotes, but this was very much, you expect it to be a scene with Laszlo and Colin, more so, these kind of little tiny moments.
Right, or Guillermo and Nandor, right?
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, no, it was great. Yeah, and he did, when he mentioned the necklace, he did say, my mommy gave me. So, like, it does seem like it's something that he probably lied, you know, like...
Yeah.
No, at one point.
That was funny, too, because when they were talking about the when he was reading the description, the original one, it said something about, like, it seemed like this warrior was, like, brought weak weapons or something. Nandor goes, those are my travel weapons.
So now we get a real, well, it's not even real, because he even just comes out and tells them the history is
it's just a construct, man.
History's written by the oppressors, is what he said at one point in the episode.
Yeah, and he also goes, I like how this is written from the immigrant's point of view. Just all this douchey professor stuff.
I know, it's terrible. So yeah, I definitely knew. I don't want to say that there were douchey, or they're all very nice mostly, but some of especially the ones who taught writing, right? Like, and I don't want to poop on them, because whatever they have.
It's just a stereotype that's it's like me. I can make fun of different people that I see at concerts, but that doesn't mean that everybody's like that.
Right, and they're very fun. Somehow it happens, and everyone wants to be the cool professor, especially if you're only like a few years older than the students, you know what I mean? Or if you're very young, or if it's your first job, or not, you want to get good, reviews and everything. At the end of the year, that's like a big deal for professors getting evaluated by the students. And if they all say this guy was a shithead or whatever, then you might not get hired back. They all want to be cool.
I remember taking some classes and having the professor be like, almost like a little too overboard on the evaluations are coming out. Make sure you give me a good evaluation, guys. And it's like a little awkward. Like, I've been there and I've been like,
I used to do that. Yeah. When I was in college, I thought that too. I thought, this is so annoying. I hate that we have to do this. But when I worked at a college years later, I found out that it's true. Like, they do really look at them. So, and they take them into consideration when you're thinking about how, whether you're hiring someone or not, or like, a lot of young professors, or they're not even really professors, they're instructors, right? But a lot of young instructors are hired on 1-year contracts, right? So like,
they want to come back.
Your contract or not? Yeah, you want to get good reviews, and so you want the students to like you, and you want to be cool and everything. So I totally get it of why they do it, but they really hit the nail on the head, and obviously they exaggerate a little bit with like the hat and everything, but yeah, like
he very much looks like he has. I don't know. He listens to Dave Matthews Band, which he does, which Colin Robinson does. You know
Absolutely.
What I mean?
And it seems like he listens to REM and the Shins and a lot of white boy music, white person music, basically.
Yeah, totally.
And I listened to REM a lot when I was. I mean, I still like REM.
I listen to of those bands. I listen to the Shins religiously. I don't listen to that record. I listen to "Wincing the Night Away." It's got some of my favorite songs. That's like one of my favorite albums. It got a ton of spins.
How about that? I did not.
But I don't
that.
listen to really anything else. I'm like weird with music. I'm like, I like that one record. That's it. Okay, I'm sure the rest of it's good. I haven't listened to this one record for 20 years. So I guess I'll still do it.
Well, I guess, yeah, if you like it. whatever. But sometimes it's hard.
I remember Automatic for the People, right? Night Swimming. I have fond kind of memories of that, like going on vacation with my family, and I think I was like probably in high school or something, or maybe a little bit older. Like I was listening to it on cassette in my Walkman.
It was
in
like
the back.
yellow.
Yeah, I was in the back of the car on Nantucket when like on a family vacation, and be like, my parents don't understand me. I'm listening to this cool REM tape.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Oh,
Car
I know.
road trip.
I listen to that tape a lot too. I love that record or tape and whatever. But yeah, the other funny thing is Night Swimming is actually played on the piano. Not that you can't play it on guitar, of course, but it is actually a piano song and with some violin in there, I think. But that was their non-electric album.
Yeah.
Remember? And
we were like REM was a band since like the 80s. Yeah. When we were coming up was when they were getting more like popular, like when they were on MTV and stuff, like,
Yeah,
that was that's like kind of what we were like becoming aware of cool music around then. So, it makes total sense that we came to them like a few records into their career. But, that was even, Automatic for the People was 30 years ago, probably.
I know it was 1993, I think, or 1992. I think last year was the 30 year. So I remember our friend Randy Shepard telling me that once that he liked REM and I should listen to them. There you go. Thanks, Randy.
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Randy and John basically are cultural. We just did whatever they said was cool.
Basically, yeah. I had no will of my own. Whatever John was doing, I listened to them. And then John started listening to REM too. So I was like, all right, well, I guess.
Yeah, they're a good rock band. They're so good.
No, they were at the time. They were good. Yeah, and I still listen to them. If they ever got back together, I would go see. Like if they did a tour.
Yeah.
I would see them and probably pay whatever they were charging, even though these concerts are ridiculously expensive. But I would go see REM if it was somewhere.
Yeah, they would probably play at something. They would probably play at a place where tickets for only $50.
Well, that would be great. Anyway, sorry about REM tangent, but it is funny. They hit the nail on the head, like I said, with all these things as the cool professor. So. And it's true. If it's been a long time since you've been to college, or if all your professors were like old, crusty guys or something like that, that's dead on. So anyway, we got to wrap this up because the last bit that we see is that Guillermo took all of the hybrid creatures and brought them to a nursing home.
That his aunt worked at. Yep.
Yes, that's right. And he's like, I told them not to tell the staff. I don't know how you do that, but he's like, apparently it's very easy. So
for the support animals, the paperwork is easy and said like he told them all to hide from the staff, but then the old people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
why wouldn't the old people start saying like this? Like dog talks and is wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. Maybe the staff is just like okay, because they don't believe anything that they say anyway. But it was like a nice gesture, I guess. Guillermo, everyone gets to live, and he kept Binky, so. That's nice. He likes that. But it is pretty freaky when it sticks his head out of the water and starts dogging him.
Well, it's also like one of those things where it's like I knew that he wasn't going to kill them, but there's still like that tension that maybe he might, or you know what I mean?
Right. Or something.
You're like, what's going to happen? Like, what's going?
Or Laszlo would end up killing them or something, or he would just come in and be like, "Oh no, I shot them," because at one point he's like,
it's not like it's a kid's show, but they're not going to like kill the dog. You know what I mean? This isn't John Wick.
Right. That's true. Yeah, they're not going to kill the dog, but they could have used it for humor, I guess, if like Guillermo was just looking for them or something, and Laszlo was like, "Oh, we killed them and ate them," or something. You know what I mean?
Or like, Binky's like, you see like Colin Robinson like eating Binky on a plate or something.
Like Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
The three-eyed fish. But yeah, no, like they could have done that, but I'm glad they went the nice route. It was a good deed. Again, this one by Guillermo. Everyone gets to live. The old people have like some service animals and stuff. They play bingo with them and everything. It's great.
Yeah, the lamb Guillermo has like the bingo cards, like chewing on it, but it's getting scritchy scratches on his head. They're all getting like petted.
Yeah,
like there's like an old guy or old lady, an old person with the possum. They're both asleep and they're having a nap and a cuddle.
It's nice. I hope we see the hybrid creatures again. I hope they turn up. I mean, usually characters come back. So I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them again and again, and I'm okay with that.
It's funny when I was thinking about like the Chicken Lady episode, and then I was just thinking about like Nandor and his wife, that whole story arc, and then you think of like, I don't know, like how Derek became a vampire. All of those were like all maybe somewhere in the same season, maybe not, but like that's a very different show than the one we're getting now.
I guess you're right. Yeah, maybe it's bringing in some of these new writers or something. I don't know.
It's evolved. You know that they bring the Baron back and he's not crispy anymore. It's just Doug Jones. You know, like it's great.
Right. Yeah, and I think it has evolved. And nothing against that Chicken Lady episode, but I remember watching that thinking like that is weird. Like that is out there.
Yeah, I like getting weird.
I like it when it gets weird.
This is weird and funny.
Yeah, and
you know what I mean?
Like a show, you know, because it had like the storylines had like definite beginning, middle, end kind of things, and it was very.
And they're teasing whatever's going to happen at the end, which we don't know yet, obviously, but they're kind of like, remember this? This was almost like, remember that there's a thing with the hex with Nadja. Remember that we're. Still, Guillermo's not a full vampire yet. Like he's been in limbo this whole time.
Yeah, these are like the storylines that are running through the season, but they're working like they're using them, like they're using the Nadja storyline to then give Nandor and Colin Robinson a completely different story in this episode, but it related.
Yeah, you had like total Laszlo pronunciation the episode.
Yeah, Troubadour. I know. I think I got Laszlo in me. So, but yeah, I don't know because if you stream it, you might not get this. But on the TV version, they show the little clip from next week. I'm not sure if you.
I have not seen it yet. I could. I could watch that on YouTube, but I choose not to.
I see. Do you want to know then what it was?
Yeah,
very brief.
That's a new feature of the show. You going to IMDb and reading us what's happening. And all that.
I know because I watched the TV version and it said there's a scene where Nandor asks Guillermo, he's like, you did something, didn't you? Or Guillermo's like, oh no, you know what I did? And he's like, yes, you farted in my casket, didn't you? And that was it. That's all. And he like beeps his nose. It was really weird. But so it's a little tease, but they're getting closer to Nandor finding out, I think, what happened because everybody else knows and he's the only one who doesn't know, and I think they're getting closer to that. And this is episode 7, so there's only three more episodes. Next one is called The Roast.
Okay,
it says a roast held in Laszlo's honor reveals dark secrets.
Ooh,
a roast. I wonder if that means
Guillermo dark secret comes out.
Maybe. That's right. It's a good point. Oh yeah, this one has Anthony Adaman. How do you pronounce that guy's name? Please help me.
I don't know, because the last time I said it, you said there's no Z in it. You yelled at me.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll try it. Anthony Adamaniuk? I don't know.
Yes.
Sean.
Yes.
Sean will be on it.
Sean.
So it should be good. And as you brought in the Baron and the Sire are both listed on.
Everybody's invited to the roast.
So, yeah, the roast. I love it. Can't wait.
You know what we never see? We never see them feeding. They used to feed in the early episodes. There was a lot more vampire-y feeding. Yeah. And I wonder why that is.
Yeah, I guess.
You don't really need it. I think it's kind of, you don't need it.
We just assume that they're feeding, I guess. Yeah, we don't see it that much. I guess that was a big thing in the movie. Like, they would basically go out just to find people to eat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Never do quite get the faces quite right.
Yeah. Well, anyways, that was this episode, though, and I agree with you with what we said at the very beginning. This is one of my favorites of the whole series. I think this is really
It's
good,
so funny
good TV.
because with the exception of maybe last week's episode where I made a point not to say that, we almost say it every episode, which only means that it's getting better. Every episode's better,
That's true.
better,
That's
better.
true.
You know what I mean? So good.
Yeah.
And I can't even, when I don't say this was the best one, it doesn't mean I don't love it. Of course I do.
No, but like I feel like I would put this one up there along with, regular human bartender. What was his name? Jackie Daytona. I'm sorry, Jackie Daytona. So I would put this one kind of up in that range. Like this is
I
really
would too.
one of my favorites, of all time. So
an all timer. This is an all timer.
It's an all timer.
That'll be what we say when it's like we really, we're not just comparing them to the ones in this particular season, which obviously would rank high. It's an all-time favorite ep.
I agree. This is up there. So yeah, so I guess it just shows, since this is the latest one, that maybe the show is continually getting better and evolving, as you brought out. So good job. Do you have any other further additions?
Well, as Natasha said in an interview, the show can go on forever because they can just infinitely come up with stuff for these characters.
Yeah.
It really can.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, that's good.
We should,
They're all on board.
We should tell people to listen to us on Spotify. Check. Just did it. Also, we'll do our traditional sign-off. You can send an email of our sign-off, which is when we yell bat, which we're going to do in a few seconds here. But you can send an email, bat@vampcouncil.com, and we can throw you in the mix like the Dark Knight Rises, and you can be part of the show. But visit us on Facebook, which is vampcouncil.com/Facebook. Go to spotify.vampcouncil.com to interact with us on Spotify. I think you can even leave us a tip there. Not that you have to. Just there's that's a function that is there. And find us and join the Facebook group, and you can get your very own vampire name. People are enjoying the ones I'm coming up with. So.
That's great. Yeah, that is a great feature for sure.
It doesn't cost you anything to join the group and get a free vampire name. But I don't give everybody a name. I say, I get consent. I said, do you want the name? And they say yes. And then I come up with one.
No, that's good. You gotta give consent these days. But yeah, like you can also just get, you get the link as soon as the episode is published. So
on Spotify, this is exclusive on Spotify for 24 hours, and then the rest of the jamokes out there on YouTube and Facebook, and our regular website, leaguepodcast.com.
That's right. We do have a regular website,
or vampcouncil.com, which goes to this podcast.
Nice. We have it covered. We got it.
But this, I think we are finally figuring it out. Finally figuring out our podcast to do it right.
500 plus episodes.
Yeah, but what a delight.
Yep.
That was a good one, an all-timer, and an all-timer episode where I broke your brain earlier, and that's what happens.
All right, we're going to count this down now. Remember, if you want to be in the mix, send it bat@vampcouncil.com.
That's right. So now I have a visual. Why don't you count it down? I'm looking at you, so it'll be more like we're on stage, and I have my hand next to my ear, like in the recording studio. Like you got the touch from Boogie Nights.
Do you want me to go like 3, 2, and then when they don't count the
No, you have to say 1 because otherwise it'll get all fucked up.
Yeah, I know. I was joshing. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Bat!
I got you son of a bitch.
Oh man.
Later, you fucks.
Later, you fucks. Oh man, that was What happened to the drum roll? I don't know why the drum roll really got me.
It did.
It was so. I was so close. I was just about to go. Like it's right after it finished. I was gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And I just died. It
it's so great. Weird. I'm glad I have it on video.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I don't know. It cracked me up so much. I really just give me the. It's one of the hardest guitar pieces in the world to play.